Okay, so we're all set. One thing, please, everyone needs to mute, um, so that way you don't have any background noise here. So anyway, welcome to our monthly workshop. I'm so thrilled to have Ilene Greene here. She's the president of Market Share Communications. So they are a premier New Jersey digital marketing agency that uses a multi-channel approach to help small and medium market businesses, solopreneurs, and nonprofits develop content-rich websites. Sorry about that. Increase website traffic, boost brand awareness, build client engagement online, and generate repeat traffic and lead generation through content marketing. Ilene Greene was inducted into the New Jersey Advertising Club's Hall of Fame. So she'll be available for autographs after she'll sign her baseball card. And she was named one of New Jersey's 50 best women in business by NJ Biz. We, of course, disagree with that because we think she's at least top 10, not top 50. So we'll lodge a complaint with them. She is partners with her husband, Ted Palmer, who is also here somewhere on the screen. Oh, there he is. He waved. And over the past 15 years together, they have successfully grown the business and become synonymous with the Market Share brand. So Ilene, why don't you take it over from here? And welcome. It's great to have everyone.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. You have to enable me to share my screen.
I do. We should have done that before the meeting. There we go.
I guess we should have, but that's okay.
Okay, done.
Okay, let me share and start the show. Okay. Great. Does everybody see the screen?
Yep. Good job.
Super. Okay. First of all, I want to thank you, Jonathan, for having me and Market Share here to present. And I want to thank all of the guests and people who have come to see me. Just a note that I normally like to do a very interactive presentation, and because our group is so large, I won't have people stopping throughout, but as I speak and as the subjects come up that I talk about, if you have something you'd like to ask towards the end, just jot it down, put it in the chat, and Jonathan will be sort of the moderator for all the questions. So welcome to the new normal, virtual lead generation. What we're going to cover today is what is content, why content is more important than ever in a virtual world. What is virtual lead generation? How a virtual content strategy will help you get found and build your business. And how do you know if your content is working and how long does it take? And I just want to say that pretty much all of our clients are small companies, some solopreneurs. So a lot of what I'm talking about, I know we have some very sophisticated people as Collaberex members, but a lot of what I'm going to cover works for small companies, but it also works for larger ones as well. So what defines content? When we look at content, we look at everything that is available for your company, your website, your social media, your blogs, your videos, your podcasts. If you do a webinar, send email, ebooks, white papers, anything and everything is part of what your content is. And that's a little bit of what we're going to get into today. So why is content the key? And why is this not working? Wonderful. There we go. So it helps you get noticed by others. It helps you get found by prospects. It helps you show up on search engines, and it definitely helps you develop leads. And the key to good content is having relevant, I'm going to use that word about 10 times today, relevant, fresh, useful, in other words, helpful content, original content, and this should all be part of your social media and your digital marketing approach. And this will also help drive your brand. So I like to define virtual lead generation, and the original word is the virtual. It's carried out, accessed, or stored by means of a computer, especially over a network. And of course, since the pandemic, we've all become very virtual, and honestly believe that this is going to continue. I think we're going to be hybrid for the next several years. People are going back to in-person networking, but honestly, as we are with Collaberex, we are virtual. Virtual lead generation is that you're not there in person, but you are still generating leads. And if you're doing your content strategy correctly, you're going to be getting people looking at you and finding you at all hours of the day and night, even when you're not in front of them. And that's the beauty of it. So simply put, we like to define it as a combination of great content marketing and good old-fashioned follow-up, because part of working on a virtual content strategy and virtual lead generation is that you do follow up when someone reaches out. And we've heard stories where people don't, so it's really important. Now, I'm going to tell you, virtual lead generation is not rocket science. It really isn't. Anyone can do it. But this will take a lot of time if you do it correctly and strategically, and especially if you're a solopreneur or you're somebody who has to do this on your own. It's not easy. And we hear all the time people say, oh, it only takes a few minutes every day. And this is what I say to that. If you've done it correctly, it takes way more than 5 or 10 minutes in the morning. And that's because, again, all of the stuff we talked about is included in the content. It's not just 2 minutes to put a post on LinkedIn. It's all about what else you're going to do. Now, that said, it shouldn't stop you from, going on LinkedIn, going on your social media, putting some good posts up, but the whole strategic marketing approach is pretty time consuming. So just thought I'd share some interesting stats. 93% of B2B buyers start with an online search. So that means if you have good online presence, people are going to be looking for you and trying to find you. And that's why part of the content is important. 63% of customers requesting information today will not purchase from you for at least 3 months, and sometimes even longer. But you want to be available, obviously, to them. 79% of marketing leads never convert into sales. And again, lack of nurture is the main cause. We have found that it takes 9 to 11 touches today. The way there's so much noise out there and so much stuff on social media and so many different websites, you have to touch somebody 9 to 11 times before you can even get them to respond. So don't give up on someone because they don't get back to you or they say no. Only 3% of your market is actively buying, and approximately 96% of your website visitors are not ready to purchase on the first visit. So that's an interesting thing to realize too. A lot of times people will say to us, well, people came to my website and downloaded something that I haven't heard from them. They're not ready, but stay with it. They will come back. And here's the interesting one. Marketers who prioritize blogging efforts are 13 times more likely to see a positive ROI. And I'm going to give you some examples of how we have found this to be true and the success stories that have come from blogging for ourselves and our clients. And those who follow up with a web lead within a few minutes are 9 times more likely to convert them. And that's why I say, again, it's good old-fashioned follow-up along with all your content strategy. So I want to stop here for 2 minutes and ask you a question and write it down. Take a minute, write it down, and maybe we'll share a few of them. What is the most important thing you want a customer to know about you or your company? In other words, do you know what your prospect wants? A lot of times we find people want to write about themselves, tell the world everything about them, but the real key to good content is making sure you're writing and talking to your customer and your prospect. So just take 1 minute and write down what's the most important thing you want your customers to know about you or your company. If somebody would like to share one or two on chat, Jonathan can read a couple.
Okay.
If there are any up there. I'll tell you that one of the most important things we want to tell our prospects and customers is that we're going to be there for them. When we work with a client, we're extremely involved. It's not just about doing marketing. There are lots of you out there that are doing marketing and doing a super job of it. I mean, we have some wonderful Collaberex members who are great at marketing. We become almost like the right-hand marketing department. So we want to get that across in all of our content that we share with our clients. Did anybody share anything, Jonathan?
So yeah,
on chat?
so Ilene, so let me just, I mean, for instance, Patty Franco put in, she says the most important thing she wants her customers to know about her company is that how she can help solve their pain points.
Good. And that's a great one for everybody. That should be like one of the keys. That's wonderful. Anybody else?
Right. Dan Casanta wrote, we help solve their financial challenges.
Good.
Kim Arnold wrote, this is great. I'm a relationship, not a transaction for you. She wants people to get to know her.
And that's the key too. Yeah.
Tracy Young said something that we all know about her. Everyone that knows her is that she writes, we're good listeners. In other words, she cares. It's an expression of caring.
Super important. Absolutely super important. And that's really great. Ted often says to clients and friends, we were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, because it's so important to listen twice as often as we do speak. So that's great. Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. That's wonderful. So the key to virtual lead generation starts, again, by finding out where your target market lives on the web, on social media, what their interests are. It takes a little bit of research. I mean, when we take on a new client, we spend a huge amount of time researching where their clients are going to be. And that's what we want to know, because that's where we want to direct the content. So at this point, we're going to put up our first poll.
Okay. Poll
Jonathan,
number
if you
1.
could take care of that.
I will.
Just want to see what kind of a response we get.
Okay. So here's the poll. What is your number 1 challenge when it comes to your content? And you could pick more than one answer.
That's cool. I'm watching it come in. You can't
I
see
know.
that.
I'll share the result, right? When we end
Yeah.
it, we'll share the results.
Okay. Give it another couple of seconds.
Right. And Ilene, you could tell us if you're surprised.
No, it's probably pretty close to what I would have thought.
Okay, I'm going to end the poll.
Yep.
We got 45 responses, so I'm going to end the poll and share the results. Okay, Ilene?
Stop sharing. Is that what I have to hit?
No. I keep sharing. Just you want to comment on the results of the poll?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's interesting. So it's pretty evenly spread, which 30% are unsure what to write about. 39% don't have enough time to do it. 37% are not sure where and how to share it. And 24% said all of the above.
Yes.
So that is interesting. And I hope as we get further into the presentation today, this will help some of you about what to share and what to write about. The time thing is what I said at the beginning. That's the tough one. But I'm going to show you how to calendarize your program so that it will help you with your time. So that's great. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So now let's get into it. How to generate leads virtually. So the first thing everybody needs to know is, what is your message? And what we tell our clients and what we try to do for ourselves is we sell the result, not the product or service. Today, it's about building relationships, building the result. Clients don't want to buy your stuff. We all have stuff to sell, but what they need is the results that you can give them. What can you bring them that they don't have now? To someone's point on the question, deal with their pain point. That's really, really important. And if you share the results and the value you offer in your content, you don't have to justify your price and you don't have to sell, because the new business will come automatically to you. I want you to think about this. How are you messaging to your prospects and customers? Write your content for your customers. When you're thinking about a social post, when you're thinking about a blog, when you're putting something up on your website, think about what, if you were your customer, what would you want to know? What do you need to find out? What's the pain point you have? Because the truth is, we have found in the last few years that great content really does break through the noise, and it does get found and on search. So that's the key. Tell your prospects a story. I put up this picture because Ted and I have a funny story, and I'm not going to get into it right now. If you want to stay after, I'm here to tell you the story. But the point is, we always tell our story. We're a second marriage, and we knew each other as kids, and I'll get into the details. But the story itself is just hysterical, and everybody we tell the story to falls in love with the story, and by extension, falls in love with us. And nobody ever forgets it. So if you have a memorable story to tell your audience, tell it. It helps to become part of your brand. We have actually become our brand now. Market share is synonymous with Ilene and Ted. And people joke, if one of us goes to a meeting without the other, everyone wants to know where's the other person. So we have become like synonymous with our brand because of our story. Think of great stories you can tell your clients, and they will appreciate it and they will remember it. Here's another question. Take a moment. Why would a prospect choose you and your company over somebody else? And that, what I put down there is, what's your special sauce? What makes you or your company and your company different? I mean, there's 100,000 financial advisors, there's 100,000 coaches, there's tons of marketing people, but each of us has a little bit of a special sauce. So take a moment and write down, what is your special sauce? Why should people work with you? And then let's share a few of those also. Our special sauce is really us and our staff, because our staff is very involved with our clients and they get to rely on them. And oftentimes we'll just bypass Ted and I and call them because they feel like they're that comfortable. And what we do is we make our clients' job easier. So that's like part of our special sauce, I would say. We have any comments, Jonathan?
Let's see, here we go. Let's see. Helen Lawler, strategic holistic view.
Okay.
Marie Roker Jones, using curiosity and empathy to help organizations build inclusive workplaces. Wow, that's well crafted.
Oh,
Way to
wow.
go, Marie. That's really good. Let's see. Okay. So here I'm going to Darcy. I mean, because this is what she lives. She writes, there are many awesome creative agencies, but very few who exclusively service the financial industry.
Good. Excellent. That's great.
Yeah. Bonnie, attention to customer service. She's very proactive.
Good. All fabulous. Yes. Yeah. So that's just to get the juices flowing. And you know what? A lot of people we speak to, a lot of our clients, or when they're prospects, they don't really know. They're not sure of the answer. Why would somebody choose them over someone else? And that's an important thing to take the time to really come up with and make you, stand out from the rest of the pack. So content is also all about authenticity, relevance, and usefulness. If it's not authentic, relevant, and useful, we say it's just digital pollution. You're just spewing stuff out there that nobody cares about. And you see that a lot today. The reason I keep using the word authentic and relevant is because, again, each of us has a different take to our company, a different way we deal with clients. And that authenticity is what's going to attract your target market. Obviously, not everybody's going to work with one financial advisor, one coach, one plumber, one dentist. There's a reason you get attracted to somebody, a business, is because you feel comfortable with them. So your authenticity is really what makes the difference and really should come across in all your content. Search engines. SEO works when you do it correctly, when you do it strategically. You want to be authentic and relevant. And when I use the word relevant, why I keep saying it over and over, relevant to your target market. The people that you want to find, that you want them to find you, are the people that you are writing to, that you are approaching, that you want to, hear from you. Original content is always better. You can share, but we like to see original content as often as possible. Try to find out the best keywords and phrases for your particular business and write content to those words and phrases. You can find those by doing Google searches. It's not that hard today to figure out what your good keywords and phrases are for your business. And understand your why. We were talking about this, Jonathan and I, before all of you came on. The why is really about authenticity. Why do you do what you do? It's what makes you authentic, and your target market will appreciate it. You want to establish a great online presence. Again, relevant, original content written to your target audience. Social media has to be strategic. It's so important. Find out where they like to play. Which channels are they on? What are the kinds of things they're doing? Are they involved in certain things that you might be able to discuss? That's really important. What are you trying to achieve with your social media? This is another one that we come up against a lot. People say, well, we'll put something up there. What do you want to achieve from your social media? Do you want it to be informative? Do you want it to be informational? Do you want it to sell something? Do you want to promote something? Do you have an event you want to talk about? You should have a strategy for why you're putting up social media. And your content needs to be connected. And I call it syndicated, meaning it shows up everywhere. If you have a topic you're writing about or a theme, put it everywhere on your website, write a blog about it, do a white paper, put it on social media, email it to people, use the same thing over and over. I'm going to throw in a quick example today. We work for a financial advisor. And we have some limitations with him because of compliance issues, but we do a blog every month for him. And a few months back, we decided to do a series. It was called Having the Talk with your spouse, having the talk with your adult children, having the talk with your parents. It was a whole financial advisors series. And it got so much play that a magazine saw it, picked it up, published some of his works. Now, we write the blog, of course, his name is on it. But the point is, we used it everywhere. We emailed his clients about it. We put it on social media. The blog was on his website. And it really took hold and started to get, it got found and got picked up. So that was really a great success we had with that. So here's your content, social media content checklist that we like to go with. What's the goal? As I said before, do you want to answer a question, drive traffic to your site, build followers, brand awareness, whatever the goal is, know what it is. Will my followers, connections, clients benefit from it? Is the content relevant to my target audience? And by the way, oftentimes you'll look at your competition and go, gee, they're writing this or they're saying that. Maybe I should. Write what's relevant for your clients and for the way you do business. Try to have attractive graphics because graphics do attract attention on social media. Did you include a call to action? As often as you can. If you're on social media, drive them to your website. If you're sending an email, drive them to something else. So we want everything to be very action oriented. And do you track it? I wonder how many people, that would be a good question. We should have done a poll for that one. How many people are tracking their social activity in some way so that you know that it's working? So here's where we make things a little easier for our clients. I don't know if any of you can see what's up there, but this was done for a business to business client out in Chicago. They distribute and service audiological equipment around the country. They have 33 locations, and we just started preparing for their social media. And what we did is we calendarized so that every other Monday we promote an event that they're going to. On Wednesday, we do a motivational customer message. So the social media message is going to be something motivational for their customer. On the second Wednesday of every month, we're planning a live lunch and learn, which we will also record and put on their website. Every other Thursday, because they have so many locations and they have lots of different areas of the country they cover, we're going to feature a different location and have somebody at that location talking a little bit about what makes their location special and so forth. So as you can see, I'm not going to go through everything. By calendarizing your social media, it takes an hour or so at the beginning of the month, but then you know exactly what you have to post all through the month. So you're not sitting down every day going, oh, I don't know what to say today. And then you can just repeat every month by changing the content, but using the same guide. So this is a great way to take some of that time factor out of the problem you have, because 39% of you had a time issue, and this would help a lot. Let's do the next poll.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. I understand about the importance of social media, but, and then multiple choice. There's so much competition. What's the point? I haven't seen any results from my effort, and I'm not sure which social media channels will work best for my business.
Cool.
Okay. Let's get everyone to vote.
Interesting. Some people are changing their vote. I see the numbers moving around.
It's okay.
That's funny.
Okay. Well, so far people aren't discouraged from these results. So
Okay,
let me end the poll and share.
Okay, great.
There we go.
Okay, so 14% of you say there's so much competition, what's the point? No, we have to change your mind about that. I haven't seen any results from my efforts. That's 57%, and I am really sorry about that. So I'm hoping again, as we go through this, this will help. I'm not sure which social media channels to work on. And that has a lot to do with, you have to know where your business would do best and where your clients play on social media. So that, that's going to be different for each of you. For business to business clients, most of who we work with, LinkedIn is still the top contender in social media. But I will say, and when people say, well, why should I be on Facebook or Instagram or those places? That's not where CEOs are, or that's not where other, high level people are in business. But we all are on social media all the time, I hazard a guess. And we all go on Facebook, and we all go on Instagram and Twitter and all those things. So even though you may be a business person at some level, you're still looking at your social media. So it all comes into play. But there should be certain ones that your clients find are the best, for your type of business. All right, let's move on. We got lots to cover, and time's running out.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to just go through these quickly because I want to leave some time at the end for questions. When I say be everywhere online, I don't mean be on every single social media feed, but what I mean is try to be there consistently. So people start to recognize your name and your company. You know, if you just go on once in a while, here and there, you're not going to have that kind of impact that we're finding with the consistency. And again, when I say online, try to put something on your website that's current. Your website should be updated somewhat often. Anything you can get out there so people get to recognize your name and your company. Share information, advice, and content freely. We have built our business by giving stuff away. Oftentimes somebody will call and say, can we just do a 1-hour consult? I just have some questions I need to ask you. Of course, we make time for them. 2 months later, we get a note, gee, I want to hire you. So people are always saying, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away, but that's okay. And you know what? I want to give a shout out to Kevin Perlmutter, Catherine Avery. Their podcasts are amazing. Their blogs are great. And these are just two of the people. Eileen Rosenthal does wonderful social media. I love reading all her posts. They're giving away great information. That's not going to stop a client from calling and hiring them. So giving it away is really key today. Try to have other thought leaders that you respect and know recognize you online and share your content. And of course, vice versa. And that makes a big difference because then you're getting in front of a much larger audience. Be consistent, as I said. Don't stop and start. If you're going to do social media, do it regularly. It really makes a difference. Blogs, relevant to your audience. Oh, here's a big one. We found if you write your blog titles as questions that your audience is searching for, you're going to get picked up. We have one client that's a kitchen remodeler, and we write their blogs every month. We wrote a blog 2 or 3 years ago about countertops, the difference between quartz, granite, and marble. That blog still gets picked up today because people are always putting into the search, what's the difference between quartz, marble, and granite or whatever. When we track their Google Analytics, we see that blog gets picked up a lot. Blogs that have a question as a title are tremendous. 500 to 1,000 words is very acceptable. So it's not a huge amount to write. It's, you know, once a month is fine. But again, consistency is the name of the game. Post your blog to social media. Email a link of your blog to your clients so they'll go to your website and read it. We want to drive traffic to your website with all of this. Ask people you know to be a guest blogger. Maybe you have clients that are blogging. Ask if you can be a guest blogger on their website. Invite other experts to blog with you. I recently re-upped a program I do called Meet the Experts, which I have to put Kevin's up this coming week. He was a guest on it. And when we put that up, what happens is the guest shares it and I put it up. And so you get that many more people who might not know you seeing you. That's not a blog, but it's the same idea. So, you know, share it and get it out there to as many people as you can. Video, huge. I hope all of you have a YouTube channel, and if you don't, please think about starting. One of the reasons we've also grown the business in the last few years is I started doing a regular marketing minute on Monday. I've slacked off in the last few weeks because we've been so busy, but the truth is over the last 2 years, I've done quite a few of them and people find us because of that video. YouTube is the second largest search engine right now. So as much as people go to Google, they're going to YouTube. Make them instructional and informational. Again, give away information. That's important. Put captions, descriptions, and titles. YouTube gives you like 5,000 words. When you do a YouTube video and you put it up on your channel, there's a place for you to put a descriptor about the video. Put as much information as you can, because again, that's going to get picked up on search when someone's looking. Put the keywords in. And please, please, please turn your cameras horizontally when you do video. That's really important. Again, website, share them on social, and at the end of your video, make a little outro screen with your contact information. And this all plays into being found. And of course, attend virtual networking events like Collaberex. that this is really important. You know, Ted and I belong to a few different networking groups. And sometimes people will say to us, well, I go and I don't get any business. I don't see why I go. But we go because we look at it as a place to get to meet people. People get to know us. Maybe we'll do business with them. Maybe we won't. We learn something every time we go. And part of being at a networking is to contribute and to participate so people do get to know who you are. Try to make a presentation. If all of you haven't done them yet, write to Jonathan and ask him when he has an opening, because that's how we will all get to know each other better. And then take your networking offline, you know, meet people. We've had such wonderful one-on-ones with so many Collaberex members. It's been fabulous. Make referrals when you can. And again, offer free advice. That's the name of the game. Please review your websites if they haven't been updated recently. Try to go to your website and look at it as if it's the first time you're going to your homepage. Make sure content is current. The people know exactly what you do. I can't tell you how many websites we go to where we're reading and reading and reading, and we're like, what does this company do? We have no idea. Take away the flowery language and just say what you do. It makes a huge difference. Talk about the results that you will give to somebody if they work with you. I know this is an old thing, but I'm still finding websites. We still find websites that don't have a secure lock. Please make sure you have that on your website. It's really key today. Mobile friendly goes without saying, and make sure your contact information is easy to find at the top on the homepage so that somebody doesn't have to scramble through the whole website to find your phone number or your email address. Really important. I'm just going to do this real quick. Informative emails. Build a good database of your own. We do not like to buy email lists. We fight clients on it all the time. They tend to be terrible and cause more problems than they're worth. So through your networking, through your social media contacts, through all of that, gather and grow your own list of people that you know, networkers, media people, anybody you can connect with. Ask if they can be on your email list so that you're building a really good, solid list. Subject lines, short, catchy, make them something that somebody would want to open. We're all inundated with how many emails a day. We go out for an hour, I come back, I have 60 or 70 emails. So of course you want to try to get somebody to pay attention. It's about taking a few minutes to see what would somebody want to hear or read about. Keep them short and link them to something. Link them to your website. Link your email to your social media if you put up an interesting post or a blog. That's what it's all about. And try to have a call to action. Always the call to action, because that's the way people get to, you know, engage with you. So one more question before we start bringing this to a close. We say the key is to put yourself into your client's shoes. How would you search for you or your company, your product or your service, if you were looking for something like you? How will customers find you when they're ready to buy? So what do you think? How do you think people would find you?
Yeah, type it in chat.
That's kind of a tough one, but it's important. Anyone?
Okay. Oh, they all came in at once.
And by the way, this little image is Ted looking for something.
Yeah, looks just like him, right?
Yeah, right.
So Helen wrote website or LinkedIn. Kim Arnold wrote referral. Monica wrote referral. So Shay wrote she's an architectural photographer in New York. So that might be a keyword, key phrase that they would put in. Dan Casanta, business loans, equipment financing. Ted wrote the obvious. I mean, really, should I even read it? He writes search for Ilene. So
Well, by the way, that we're laughing, but the truth is we all search. I mean, besides searching for a product or service or even the company name, part of the beauty of LinkedIn, and if you use it right and use it well, is you get to know people. And I'm gonna share a quick story here. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got a private first I got a connection to someone. Would you please connect? I didn't know who the gentleman was, but I saw that he was a connection to a woman that we're friendly with and who's also been a client, a well-known PR person. So I figured since he's connected to her, it would be okay. I saw that he runs an international company. So I connected to him, didn't think much of it. And a few days later, I got a private message from him saying, I've been following you on LinkedIn and I'm very interested in having a conversation. So I mentioned this to Ted and he goes, oh, it's probably some scammy thing. Call up this woman we know and make sure he's on the up and up. So I had a conversation with my friend who's connected to him and she said, oh my God, he is like the most amazing referral source. If you get to know him, he has referred business to me from all over the world because he is an international businessman. He owns several companies in Asia. So we set up a Zoom call. That came from a LinkedIn contact. So, getting to know you as a person as much as your company is really key. So Ted's joke of, ask for Ilene is not so far from the truth. So have people get to know who you are. That's important. Anyway, let's wrap up so we can have some questions and answers. A few takeaways from today. Establish a strong social presence, get comfortable online, and we promise in time it will have an impact. For those of you who wrote it's not having any impact, done correctly, it will. Original, relevant content for your target market. Always remember that. Pose questions to your followers and ask for answers because that's a good way to get some give and take and you want to get people involved. You can repurpose other business content. We do, but make sure again that it's relevant and something that you're proud of to share. A few more, reach out to your connections through private messaging, apropos of my story, and ask them to connect you to some of their connections. That's a great way to build your followers and your connections on LinkedIn. Follow up on these requests as soon as possible. When someone reaches out, try to get back to them as quickly as you can. It shows that you really care and that you're interested. And try to track your social media so that you know it's having a positive result. So people say, well, how do I track it? Are you seeing more interaction on your social media? Are you getting some, sometimes somebody will write to me and just say, oh, I saw your post. I thought it was interesting. So I look, some days we get 5 people liking us. Some days we put up a post, I get 350 people who like it. Some people share it. You want to watch for some activity on your post. And if it's not happening, maybe just reassess what you're writing and what you're doing and make sure you're on the right social media channel also. That's important. So I just told you about our LinkedIn person. I told you about our financial advisor. And Elizabeth mentioned someone at the beginning that we are working with an energy consultant. It's not an easy thing to talk about. He goes into companies and reassesses what their whole energy efficiency is. But we started putting up blogs and LinkedIn posts. And in a few weeks, we've only been working with him a couple of months, he started getting, he was getting attention of some people that might become clients already who need his service. And he's made quite a few connections. So, I mean, these are just some things. We got a call from somebody. Actually, they put in about 3 months ago, went on our calendar, made an appointment. I had no idea who this woman was. She just asked for a Zoom call the same day. I reached out to her by email. I said, I think you may have the wrong company because they work with cardiologists. And I didn't quite know what she was looking for. I said, we're not a cardiology company, we're a marketing company. And she wrote back and said, I know, I saw you on a video or on a podcast. I love what you wrote. I love what you said. We want to speak to you. She brought her whole leadership team to the Zoom meeting. And within less than a week, they signed on to work with us. And that all came from content out there that we shared. So So that's it. So this is how it all works. You put it together. They come to you as a stranger. They're getting attracted to you for some reason. Then they start to become a visitor. And in time, hopefully you can convert them from a lead. The word close here, I hate that word close, but they become a customer. And over time, if they're delighted with working with you, they become your raving fans and they become your referral source. And so that's what it's all about. Thank you again, Jonathan. Thank you to all the Collaberex members. I had fun. I hope you all learned something and I didn't bore you to tears for the last 45 minutes.
So we have 10 minutes left.
Great.
So anyone that has any questions, either type them in chat or raise your hand. You could use the reaction button, and then we'll get to as many questions as we can. And if we aren't able to get to all the questions in the next 10 minutes, Ilene has agreed to skip lunch today and and stay on for a little while. So let's see if anyone has any questions, and we can get to as many as we want. So I'll start us off. Well, here, Karen, why don't you start us off?
Jonathan, you certainly can go first. All right. Now, my question is just, I do have a company helping me because I recognize, doing my social media is not something that I am good at or very efficient at. And what's really hard, I have found, is getting them to speak like they're me. And we've been, working through that. And I respect that. That's just not going to come overnight.
Right.
But what I would be curious about a little bit is what's like, if you want to call it the ratio of posts. So, I don't like product, buy this today, product, buy this, product, buy that. So is there like a 20/80, a 30? Is there some rule that's like, company message, a product, like, is there a ratio of, do you know what I'm asking, kind of?
I know what you're saying. Yeah. Like, how much should you push yourself versus just other stuff?
Yeah.
What comes to mind automatically for your business is talking about fresh ingredient. I mean, it doesn't always have to be about selling to the clients.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It has to be more about, somebody's in the waiting room and I'm getting.
I let him in. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was weird.
Yeah.
So I would say 25 to 35% should be selling.
Okay.
And the rest should be informational, fun. I mean, for a company like yours, fun things. You have holidays all the time that are appropriate for, sharing baked goods. Talk about success stories, a corporate event you did or a special party you did. Share pictures of some of the things you made for people. That's what I would do. I would just try to keep it low key because they will come to you when they see all the great stuff you have and you do. You don't have to sell them. The business will just come.
And then how much should be about me personally, which I would say, I always say this, like, I'm not the selfie generation, so I'm not the most comfortable with that. But I also notice that when those posts or videos happen, that's where I get the most engagement.
Exactly. So, I mean, what are you comfortable with? Again, once a week, once every 2 weeks?
I don't know. I've never tried to quantify it, but I'm not.
If you could do it a few times, I would say like 2 or 3 times a month, something about you or a quick video or just a little something that you want to share, about yourself.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
How did you get into baking?
I don't want to chew up everybody's
Not now.
time.
I mean, something. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. As opposed. Exactly. Yeah.
Jonathan.
Yes. Okay. Let me take other people's questions. So here, let me take Sydney. I love this question because I think it's appropriate to so many of us. First of all, she claimed she liked your presentation, but I think she's just sucking up to you. But anyway, so She says, I really like the planning out social media blog post, but don't know where to start. What does the process look like? I think that's a really direct question. So
Okay,
thanks,
great.
Sydney. Yeah.
Yes. So if you're just, I mean, if you're just starting out doing it or you haven't done it consistently, we would say like one blog a month is more than enough to get started. Because if you give yourself too many things to do, you start to get overwhelmed. So one blog a month, and again, they can be short. You know, years ago they said they had to be 3,000 words or the search engines wouldn't find you. No, 500 to 1,000 words. That's not that much to write. And then if you saw the calendar, and I'll be happy to share, it's just we download a calendar off of the internet and just sit down for a half hour and say, what do I have time to do? And what do I want to say to people? So it's really about taking the time at the beginning to come up with, as Karen said, do I want to do 2 times a month, promote my company or my service? Do I want to try to do a mini video once a month and put that up? Try to start with what you feel you're capable of. I hope I'm answering your question, Sydney. Is that what you're trying to ask?
That was exactly what I was looking for. Those, like the 2 questions, like sitting down with a calendar and just asking myself those 2 questions, that is like the best advice that you could have given me. That was exactly the answer that I was looking for.
That's
so
great.
Thank you.
The calendar for everybody, that really helps solidify your social media for the month. And then your head isn't going, oh my God, I didn't write something. I don't know what to say today. I'm not in the mood. If you do it at the end or the very beginning of each month, for the next whole month, you don't have to think about it. It's basically done and you just post it, at will, or if you use a Hootsuite, or we have something called Social Hoot, you can get them all set up ahead of time and then not even have to think about it. So yeah.
And I encourage everyone to reach out to Ilene after the presentation to get a longer answer to all the questions, because she could go into more depth. So I'm gonna pick this next question only because it was my question, but Maxine phrased it much better. She kind of reversed how I wanted to ask the question. So she says she wants to know from you, what is your favorite contract that you sign with a small business when it comes to doing their content? Like a small business approaches you, what do you want your contract with them to look like? How long do you love to work with a new client to give you an opportunity to get the strategy and voice down and for the client to see results?
Wow.
So thank you for really phrasing my question much better than I did. Thanks, Maxine.
And I want Ted to unmute himself so he can jump in here, because, apropos of my slide about the 2 of us, he really does work together with me. And he's going to come upstairs in my box now, I could tell. Here, he just left his desk. So most of our contracts are a minimum of 6 months. And the reason we do a minimum of 6 months is because to get to Karen's point, when you work with somebody, to get their voice, to learn about their business, to understand the workings of their company, you need at least 6 months for all of this. All this SEO stuff that people pay hundreds and thousands of dollars a week or a month for is really a matter of being consistent with your content and letting people and the search engines start to find you. And that's a minimum of 6 months. Most of our contracts are a year.
And some are 15 years too.
And some of our clients have been with us as long as 15 years. So, and an interesting story I didn't tell is we had a very, very wonderful client 10 years ago, that we were doing all their marketing, email, website, the whole 9 yards. And then they got bought by a huge international Danish conglomerate. And over a few years, they phased us out because they brought an entire marketing department in-house. They bought up 33 different locations. I mentioned this. But what happened is one of the regional sales managers who we used to work with saw my marketing videos, and he said, I want you to talk to our new marketing director at the main company. And now we're working with them 10 years later. So, it was an interesting thing, but 6 months to a year for everything to really, take hold.
Okay, thanks. So right now we have, it's 12:59. This is supposed to be a 1-hour workshop. Ilene and Ted are, said in advance that they're willing to hang out because I mean, we have a ton of questions coming in. So anyone that wants to hang out and listen or ask another question, please stay on. I'm also, this is great to hear. I think these questions are so important because any question that anyone asks, it applies to so many of us. So I'm going to take a very practical question that Bonnie posted. So thanks, Bonnie, because I like these really direct questions. Okay. So Bonnie, why don't you, instead of me reading it, why don't you just express it? So unmute and yes, you, Bonnie. There's only one Bonnie. Oh, no, there are two Bonnies. Oh, sorry.
Ah,
Okay. Bonnie Steves, yes.
So I have an interior design business, and I can't use BS. I can't, and so I don't want to use my full name. So BS is not a good thing to be, promoting this interior design. So I've always used DJS-Assos, which is great, and I've had a lot of wonderful referrals over the years. But when people search me, they search BJS. So they search BJS, and it often comes up BJ's, which is a wholesale club. And so I often get calls for, merchandise, what my, fees are for joining the club, et cetera, et cetera. And, I get a lot of searches for BJ's on my website, but most of them are for the wholesale club. So
yeah. What's the question?
So the question is, how do I overcome kind of this obstacle? I'm not going to change my name. I'm not going to change the name of the business because it's more than 10 years old. And I don't want to be always getting the calls for a wholesale club.
So what's your URL?
BJS-Assos.
BJS
BJS what?
Assos.
ASS.
Yeah. You know what? This is like this is an interesting question, and it's a branding question, and it's you have a bit of a challenge there, I have to tell you. I'm not sure.
What I would do is I would get an additional domain name that's more that works and
Point it.
because you could have several different domain
The problem
names.
is they're searching for her as BJS and it's coming up BJ's. That's the problem. You know what? Maybe we can have this conversation like offline at another time. We'd be happy to have a quick Zoom call with you because, I mean, off the top of my head right now, this would take a little bit of
Short.
yeah, a little bit of thought and yeah, we'd have to think about that.
I guess
Yeah,
the question is, when do you decide to rebrand?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
This gets into a rebranding thing. And when you say you don't want to change your name, there are ways for you to change it and still keep the initials as like a sub name.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Kevin is still on here. He may have jumped off, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's the kind of thing where we would probably recommend, if you were going to work with us, to do a rebranding.
I actually agree. I am a branding firm, and I would say that
Oh, hi, Darcy. I didn't see you there. Yeah.
that's a really tough one to overcome without changing your name, because
Yeah.
BJS, they don't see it as BJS, they see it as BJ's.
Yeah.
And
Right.
BJ's is a
And
major brand that gets hits every 5 seconds online. So if
Yeah.
I were your branding firm, I would suggest that you think about,
yeah.
to Eileen's point, you don't have to change the whole name of your company, but you don't want to be BJS because that's just you can't fix that. It's not
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
fix.
But I've also thought about using my full name, it's Bonnie J. Steves. So
Yeah, that would take, you'd have to really work on that. And yes, it's a bit of a pain in the neck, but I think the end result would be a lot more positive feedback and client connection.
Yeah.
So I have a related question to that relates to solopreneurs. is that when do you use your name as the name of your company versus some other name that doesn't completely maybe have your name in it. So or maybe it expresses the value that you provide your customers. You know, sometimes with solopreneurs, everyone thinks, well, the company is me. And that's, it's me and the relationships and everything. So you want to promote that. But what factors do you use to make those determinations?
You could also use your last name and the word collective or associates or something that makes you seem bigger than just you two.
That's right.
Not that you two are bad, but you could keep, or you could keep the name in there and add something to it, to Jonathan's point.
Right. Exactly.
But you know, it's
And associates.
Yeah, so
is that, so if you look at Bonnie Steves, there's a well-known doctor that has been very well published. So not only do I have the BJ's problem, but I also have Bonnie Steves' problem because she's this, scientist, well-known author, and then
So in that case, do you have a niche area that you work in your business? Like, who are your target market? Who do you work with? Who are your clients?
well, it's high-end residential and also then commercial also. So it's,
Yeah, I would do some thinking about, another possible, since you have the double whammy of BJ's and this other woman who's already a well-known entity, you might want to think about changing the
Should
name
be
to have
Steve's.
something, or, something with the name decorating or designing or something in it. So at least people know that's what it is.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, maybe
is it
take
just-
your name and
What is the product specifically?
she's an interior designer.
Oh, well, B. Steve's design it comes right to mind.
Yeah.
That's you, B. Steve's
Or B.
Design.
Steve's interior design or something like that.
.com.
And that's going to help people who want to find an interior designer to find you rather than just
Right.
your initials or your name.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay,
much.
great. Thank you. I want to take Amy's question that she put in. So Amy makes unique jewelry designs. So Amy, you want to unmute and instead of me reading, just explain your question?
Sure, thank you. So I'm just wondering, Facebook and Instagram are obvious for me, but LinkedIn, my thought is that if I'm available on LinkedIn, there are lots of busy people who need to buy gifts who are on LinkedIn who might appreciate the service that I provide.
Absolutely.
Why not?
Besides which, you have a lot of people in business, executives, corporate people who would wear your jewelry or share it as a gift and so forth. So I would absolutely, I think everyone with a business should be on LinkedIn. Whatever else you're on, I think you should be on LinkedIn. That's our opinion. Mainly because that's where a lot of the real connections are being made. Facebook is a different vibe, Instagram, Pinterest, they're all different vibes, but LinkedIn is where people look to each other for advice, for information, for sharing something worthwhile. And I definitely think you should consider LinkedIn.
Is it okay for the focus of the post though to not be, information about jewelry, but just, Mother's Day is coming, I can be helpful to you?
Absolutely.
You're a problem solver. Someone
Yeah.
needs a Mother's Day present. Someone needs something for their wives.
Okay. No
Build a
reason not to go
relationship.
for it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And always direct them to your website or a specific page on your website where you're sharing. Well, if you're talking about a specific item, send them to that page on your website or, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I felt that it's an opportunity that I've been missing. And but I've gotten mixed advice.
Where are you located?
In New City, New York.
Oh, okay.
Right nearby.
Yeah.
I'm coming up.
See you soon.
Okay, thank you, Amy. So I have a question that might relate to some of the things that we want to find out about here. How do you test engagement? So you follow all your advice and you develop content that focuses on the needs of your target market. and you develop messaging and you figure out, yeah, we think it's going to work well here and here. These are where we're going to send the messages out. What's a good way to like test it, or you just launch it, you just go for it? I mean, or
Well-
do you do a mini steps, or
No, I mean, for companies our size that most of us are in, which is solopreneurs or small businesses, we don't do that kind of A/B testing. It's time consuming and expensive. And we're not looking to reach 200,000 or 1 million people. So what we do is, again, we study who the client is. So depending on who your client base is, we try to find where some of them are and what they're looking at or what they're interested in. So it's a little bit of, research ahead of time. And then we start. And the way we know if it's starting to work is if you have Google Analytics on your website, when you put up an interesting post, go the next day and see if you got a little bump to your website. See how much interactivity you're getting, meaning how many people liked it, how many people commented on it. It starts with very small things at the beginning. It takes, that's why I'm saying people get discouraged. A lot of small business people and solopreneurs go, ugh, you know what? This didn't work after 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not wasting my time on this. It's not working. But that's the point. It doesn't just happen overnight. Over time, and you'll put something up and someone will share it because it's interesting. I've shared posts from many of our Collaberex members because I just found them insightful and I felt the people that follow me would be interested. Now, what happens is you don't know, somebody that's now following me may be following Darcy or Patty because something I shared that they put up was interesting. So the idea is you have to just keep it going. If after 3 months, you're not getting any kind of activity to your website, you're not getting any kind of feeling from comments you get that it's not working, then you have to revisit what you're saying. Are you on the right channels? Is the content correct for your market? That's really what it is for small companies.
Okay. I have another question. I've heard the phrase from marketing professionals. The phrase is stop the scroll. So they do things, they'll put up a little, 3-second video that's like a snippet from some television show or something that people will watch, and it gets people to stop scrolling through their feed. But it always seems to me to be you don't see it on LinkedIn much, you see it more on Facebook, and you see it seems to be goofy and not on brand.
Mhm.
What's your feeling on that? I guess it gets people to stop for a second, but does
Yeah,
it really make a connection?
we don't think so. I mean,
Although we do use a picture to catch their
but
attention.
he's talking about like something like a little shocking or a little out of the ordinary
Oh.
that would stop you from going through the scroll. But if it's not, and again, when you're talking about Facebook, a lot of it is personal stuff. So the question is it on a personal Facebook page, a company Facebook page? We don't use our company Facebook page as much as, we'll post on, I will post on my own Facebook. On LinkedIn, we post both on our company page and my personal page. I do most of the posts are under my name, but I don't see it. I mean, that's just our opinion. I don't know if anyone else has any feelings about this. I don't see it as anything terrific. And I don't see that it builds somebody following you for business.
Yeah. Darcy, you want to chime in? Because you put that comment.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think better to pay for good writing and good design and use a really compelling headline or question and an image that's kind of maybe jarring or maybe a little out of the box to make people stop the scroll, but have it be relevant to what you do. Have it be about,
Absolutely.
So to that point, by the way, we just started a word search. So today, if anybody went to our LinkedIn, we put up a big box and it says, find the first 3 words that come to mind that you see in this big word search. And the theme was websites. So it makes you stop because you want to look at the word search game and try to find the words, but it's still relevant to what we do. I should have
Okay.
put it up as an example, but yeah, I don't find these little like snippets, as you say, of any value.
Okay, thanks. They just don't seem serious to me. And if you have a
Yeah.
serious message,
Yeah.
It
You
has
know
to be-
what? You can have your messages can be fun too. I don't want you to think
Yeah.
it's all like
No, I
super
know.
serious. And we put up some little, silly things from time to time, but they should still be appropriate for what you're trying to achieve.
yes, I
Yeah.
agree. Patty, you want to unmute and
Sure.
your
Yeah, I know
question?
it's a little lengthy. So I was just curious if there was any guideline that you both had or, have read about or have your own perspective on in terms of like, how much should a person invest in social media marketing support? Is there a percentage? Because and I don't know if that's an accounting question or, more of a, financial planning kind of question, but I think, just having a guideline so that, you're in the ballpark of like what's excessive versus what's reasonable. Is it like 5% of your revenue, 10%? Do you have any perspective on that?
Not really.
No, I mean, some of it, well, let me just first say, some of it has to do with depending on what your monthly revenue is, what can you afford? That's how I mean, when people come to us, especially solopreneurs, and say, I want to hire you for social media, the question is, what can you afford every month? And there's some amount of money, because it's not the money, it's the time it takes to do it. So you're buying time from someone to do it. So I would say it depends on how much revenue you now have monthly and what you hope to achieve with it. Because if you're giving somebody money every month and you're not seeing any result over time, obviously.
It's crazy to spend that money, but it also depends on the cost of the resale value of what you're selling. So if you're working in the industrial area and you're going to get a $50,000 job in your mind from social media, does it make sense to put in $1,000 a month, $2,500 a month? And you have to feel comfortable with this, because if you are uncomfortable with it, it's just not going to work.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, the positive energies really come into play here. If you're going to be selling a piece of jewelry, well, and let's say it's $50, that may not make sense to do a social media unless you're going to be hitting the masses of people, that you could be selling 1,000 units at $50 each. That makes sense.
But if you're selling a piece of jewelry that's $3,000,
right?
That's
and you're only going to sell one, then it may not make sense.
But the hope is you'll sell more than one. That's the point.
Well,
the point is, Patty, I don't think that, at least for us, there's no set amount of money. It's sort of a balance of what can somebody afford to do and what are we trying to achieve with that? Like Ted said, if you're trying to achieve huge jobs, then you're willing to put in more money. If you're a small business and you're not making that much money, you have to weigh and measure what it's worth for you.
Right.
I hope that answers it. I know it's not exactly what you want.
It's tricky. It's tricky because in my line of work, it's about visibility. So, I'm not going to necessarily have someone read a post and, I mean, they could, decide that they want to hire me, but usually that's not how it works. It's going to be because they're seeing me, they're reading my messages over time, or someone's referred me and then they see me online. And so, it's more about visibility. So I do see it as a monthly investment. It's well worth it. But, then when your income dips or goes up and down, it's like, how do you judge like, okay, I need to scale back or I need to increase it so I can capitalize on it. So those are some of the things I try to figure out, but
you also need to ask yourself how much an hour of your time is worth.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's your major criteria. If you, as a coach, say, 1 hour of my time is $250, okay? Then the possibility of getting X amount of hours sold during that month, and you try to extrapolate it whichever way we try to figure it out, and say, okay, well, if I'm able to get over a period of 6 months, 3 new clients, and each one is giving me $500 a month, et cetera, et cetera. Does that work for me? And do I feel comfortable making that commitment?
Right, right. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you. So I have one last question. It's really regarding a new initiative that we're going to start in Collaberex, and I want your opinion on it, which is quarterly kind of focus groups where people, members of all the groups can come together and kind of present, we'll do it in small groups, present their marketing messaging to the other group to see what kind of, it'll be like a confidential focus group for everyone there that will may help them fashion their messages because the reaction they get might be unexpected to what they thought they were going to get.
I think that's a great, I love that idea. I think that's a great idea. I
Okay,
really like that.
good. You're on the focus group committee. We've just
There
assigned
you
you.
go.
Thank you.
Put it under Ilene Greene's name. I'm not really here.
I don't think, somebody asked what my story is and I think he left.
Yeah, I saw it.
Larry, okay,
Oh,
Larry
Larry?
left. Larry Moskowitz left, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, does
Never know.
anyone, are there any other questions that anyone has? If there's not, then we can end this session. I want to thank Ilene and also Ted for being
Ted
supportive
helped,
of Ilene. Yes, no,
To all Ilene.
yes, but really, thank you for really a wonderful presentation. It was really informative. Ilene said that if anyone wants the
I forgot to
slides,
mention it at the beginning. We should have
then
told him.
she'll share her slides, and please reach out to her to get more in-depth answers to any of your questions or any questions you haven't been able to ask today.
And would you, Jonathan, do me a favor, if you have the capability to send a note to everyone who participated today, that if
Mhm.
they like the slides, I'll be happy to, send them on.
We'll do it. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Everyone
Thank
have
you.
a
And
wonderful
thanks, everybody.
afternoon.
Have a
you.
great week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ilene, why don't you stay on for 1 second? Okay.
Okay, great.
Thank
Sure.
you. I'll stop the recording.
Great job, sweetie.